Welcome back to another episode of Hashing It Out with Hobby. This is episode 22. I'm sitting here with three very good friends of mine. This podcast is a special one to me. This is the Freemasonry 101 podcast. I got my brother over here, the Red Dragon.
Thank you.
Got my brother over here, Renee.
How's it going?
And my brother here, Rodrigo.
Hey, Javi, thank you for having me.
For sure, man. Hey, guys. So I wanted to start off by telling a lot of people who don't know this about myself personally. This is a truth bomb. Boom. But I am a Freemason. A lot of people don't know that about me. And people who know me personally, my family, my friends, obviously my son, they know this about me. But a lot of people don't know that about me. So I want to talk a little bit about Freemasonry and kind of what it entails, what it is. Just kind of the basics. I get asked a lot about, like, what is Freemasonry? I'm like, well, that's a very deep question because I could talk probably for 5 years straight without stopping.
It's a very interesting subject, especially for those that don't really have any knowledge about it other than what they see on YouTube or what they've heard through the internet. You know, I think there's a lot of depth to Masonry, and the first and foremost thing, it's not associated with anything nefarious. It's definitely a fraternity of men who want to give back and do something for their local community or themselves, bettering themselves.
Absolutely. Bettering men, right?
Right.
But, you know, let's do some kind of house cleaning things before we even start because we kicked off pretty quick here. There's a couple things I want to touch on. So first of all, who you are, right? So give us a little bit about your background, who you are, about your podcast. By the way, I love your podcast.
Thank
it's
you.
Amazing.
So my name is Mike. I'm a member of Keepers of the Word. We're an Esoteric Study Group, and we study the occult. We study esoterics, and we study our craft. You know, so we touch on the deeper meanings of symbolism and things. You know, things in the occult community. That's my background.
Yeah. Renee, what about yourself?
My name is Renee, Master Mason. I have a Masonic apparel company called Sanctum Secretum. It's basically some of the symbols that we can post out,
Right.
without, messing up our obligation. Also with some esoteric feel to it.
Good stuff. Yeah, by the way, this guy's clothing line is amazing. He's got some great stuff. If you're a Mason, check it out. Brother Mike over here, his podcast is amazing. One of my favorite. There's a couple Freemason podcasts I listen to. Yours is definitely number one.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
For sure. I love it. There's a lot of really good, and let me rephrase that. It's not necessarily Masonic, but the content you have is really cool. There's a lot of stuff. And I also wanted to touch on, well, let's get to Rodrigo first. So Brother Rod. So,
Yeah, I'm Rodrigo. I'm a Master Mason, and I'm currently the Junior Warden at Oxnard Lodge.
341. Which I'm a member of too. Yeah, that's my brother Rodrigo. He's originally from Brazil. He's been in America now for how long?
13 years.
13 years. He's been here for a long time.
It's been a while.
Yeah, you're American now, bro. You eat hamburgers. So okay, there's one thing I just want to do the kind of, like I said, just the things we need to get out of the way before we start talking about everything else. But first of all, this podcast episode is not sponsored by any means by our Grand Lodge in California or my lodge. It's just really us as brothers and Freemasons talking about some of the basic stuff that we can talk about, because there's a lot of questions that I'm sure we all have been asked a million times, and I kind of wanted to get that stuff out of the way so people know, kind of like, I can be like, oh, just go listen to the podcast, bro. It answers your question. I promise, because I'm tired of answering that question, right?
Well, I get you, man, because the first thing that people think is, oh, you're part of that satanic cult. It's not that.
Right.
I mean, we could barely put together a pancake breakfast, dude. Come on, man. Let's be real with it, dude. It really is a bunch of guys who really want to do stuff for their community, whether it's raising money for nonprofits or, just giving back to your local community. I mean, that's what Freemasonry really is.
Yeah, for sure. I think Freemasonry is a different path and a different route for every particular man that joins.
Exactly.
For sure, but that's definitely the core principle concept of it, in my opinion. And I'm just, to be honest, I've only been a Master Mason for about 4 years now, so a little bit over 4 years. No. Yeah, for about four and a half or so. But I think it really is a very personal journey. What you take from it is what you learn from it, and what you give into it is what you get back from it. So let me ask this question to all three of you. like what is Freemasonry? Because I think a lot of people don't know what it is. Like at the core principle, what we know the principles we talked about, kind of what it helps men to be. But what is Freemasonry? Like the historical context behind it.
Anybody want to jump on that one?
I just try to answer people how they ask me the question. If they're serious about it, I'll kind of just break it down a little bit. Like it's a fraternity. It's been around, since forever. And just, it's a fraternity, making better. But if they're being a smart ass about, oh, you're a devil, I'm like, yeah, I'm a devil worshiper. Don't go to sleep.
We like goats.
We like goats. Birria, you know what I mean?
Birria. Yeah. We like goats.
I try to answer somebody, whatever, if they're serious, I'll try to answer as many questions as I can.
Right.
But again, if they're just, I've seen this, I'm like, well, that's not what we are.
Right. Yeah, I mean, to me, I think the way I can describe Freemasonry, it's an ancient fraternity that's been around for a long time. There are, technically, it's been around since the United Grand Lodge of England from 1717. So we just had a 300-year mark a few years back. But I think Masonry has an essential kind of concept has been around for a long time, right? And there's a difference between what you would call operative or speculative Masonry, right?
Yeah.
So like back in the ancient times, right?
Stone guilds
and that kind of stuff. There were operative Masons who really used their tools, science and and mathematics to kind of build physical things, right? Where today Masons like us who are speculative, we adapted symbolism from those tools and science and mathematics they used to help build better men.
Through allegory.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah.
So when I look at when somebody asks me that question and they say, well, what is Freemasonry? And for me, it's several things. It's brotherhood. You do meet some great individuals here that I would have never met, like yourself. And
thank you.
And it's also self-improvement through the working tools of Freemasonry. It's technically its own mystery school. And through those working tools, you're able to apply them into your life and better yourself day by day. Now, is it going to make you perfect? No, it's not. Just like any religion or anything in general. What it's going to do is going to make you challenge yourself. It's going to make you a better person than you were yesterday.
Right. And that's the key thing, right?
Yeah. For everything, right?
It's for everything, right? Growth. And so I think one of the things that we say in Masonry a lot, that I've heard actually when I was joining, is like when I asked an older person who was in the craft, like, what is Freemasonry? They're like, oh, we just want to make good men better.
Wow. Right? That was so profound.
No, but it is in a sense because not all humans are innately good.
Correct.
In the sense that there's some people who were challenged by certain aspects, certain things in their life that maybe they just were not. They didn't start from a level ground of being good innately. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, and I think some people are plagued by that. Is what I'm saying. So I can take a person who is a good person and help them become a better person if I know how to teach them those things and those steps. But if somebody doesn't have that built into them, it's really hard to feed that into them. Does that make sense? Kind of make sense?
And it makes plenty of sense, especially like when you look at religion. Religion does help those individuals, like, the cholos that find Jesus. It helps them.
It does,
you're no longer gangbanging. You're gangbanging for Jesus now, which is good. Although I'm not for Bible thumping or anything like that, but I feel if that's something positive that you're going to get out of it, then great.
Yeah,
do it.
It's cool that you say that because when I was young, I think the first class I took by the way, I didn't graduate college. I took like 3 classes in junior college and left because I was always doing great in my career, and so. I was like, I'm making way more money than the professors that are teaching me this bullshit. I'm out of here, right? But one of the first things I learned when I was taking philosophy courses was it was a complete anti-God kind of concept. Mm-hmm. And it was anti-God across the spectrum. It wasn't Christianity, it wasn't Buddhism, it wasn't Islam. It was just across the spectrum. Like you need to be an atheist completely across the board. And I thought that was kind of strange to me because I just swallowed it hand and foot without question. I was like, oh, this is the reality of life. Like, this is what it should be. So me personally, knowing that, and then researching and doing a lot of historical work on the different gods throughout history that really matched up and were really in line with like what Christianity has in the books. When people would ask me questions, I would just destroy the religion. And that made me a total jerk off. Like, to be quite frank, it made me not a good person because of what you just said.
I was there. I'm not going to lie. I took that road as well. I was trying to shoot everything down because I wanted facts, right? But spirituality isn't really factual. It's something you feel.
Right.
You know, if religion works for you, great. If you have a different path, or, you know, I know folks who are pagans, dude. They're the nicest people that you'll ever meet.
Right.
Just don't piss them off. But they're great people, man. They just believe in a different way. Yep. And one of our co-hosts on the show, James Bracero, he told me the house of God has many rooms.
Yeah.
So when I asked, okay, can you go a little deeper than that? He's like, just think about it. The house of God has many rooms. Many paths go to the house of God. Whatever that may be, all these paths go to the same place.
I love that. I love that expression. So, it's just extremely, well, let me say this. I learned that very quickly as you get older, you get humbled in life.
Yeah,
life humbles you.
Definitely.
And you learn very quickly that God is the thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and everyone's path to that God is, like you said, and I like that. That's the best way I've heard it put so far is that, like, it's all the same path. It's all the same path. So, but you know, Freemasonry is not religious by any means.
No.
It's definitely not religious.
It's not religious, but there are certain undertones in Freemasonry. You see Kabbalah and obviously Christianity. I mean, you have you give your obligation on top of a holy Bible. If you're of Christian, if you follow the Christian path. But I know that some lodges use different volumes of sacred law, whether it be the Torah or the Vedas or
the Kabbalah, not Kabbalah, the Torah.
Whatever. And Grand Lodge is in control of what you can put up there and what you can't, which I totally understand that. But I mean, Freemasonry is free, right? It shouldn't be, you know, I understand that, you know, we kind of look at Satanism as, you know, that's their thing, dude. It has nothing to do with this.
Right.
At the same time, we have to talk about it, you know?
For sure. There's nothing wrong with conversation, but while we're at it, let me just go ahead and say this. Just kidding.
I think with me, I think what resonates more is that I feel like Masonry is kind of like a religion. It's more a religion of life. Like, it helps you self-assess your you know, learns how to suppress your passions, and it either leads you more into your religion through that way,
yes,
or through self-reflection and getting you better, and, you know, living your life through, you know, our craft tools, you know, living your life by the 24 gauge, and, you know, it's like, it is religion, but not really religion. At least to me, it's more like a moral belief, if that makes sense.
I think it provides us further appreciation for religion, further appreciation for rituals and ceremonies that happen in church. So when you go there now, you understand the importance of ritual.
Yeah.
And how it should be followed.
It's very supplemental to any religion. Like you said, Brother Mike, is that like you can when you take your obligation as a Freemason, you can take it on the book of your choice in a sense it's approved by our Grand Lodge, right?
Right.
But every one of the major Judeo-Christian religions and or Islamic religions are part of that, right? And and Judeo as well. So like, you know, whether you're a Jew or you're Islamic or you're Buddhist or whatever else, you could take your oath on that book. So it very much supplements kind of what those religions do. And I think it's very much it's just supplemental, you know what I mean? It's really what it is. It kind of outlines what those things are and lets you know, like, so for me personally as a Mason, like what I learned in Masonry, what I've so far I've learned, and I'm a very young Mason. I've only been a Mason now for, I don't know how many years, but it's taught me a lot about how to be a better person in general, just a better man in general to everything around me. So there'll be certain situations I find myself in. I'm like, oh, well, I should think about that part of Masonry when I should apply that to this. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it is very much supplemental to all the things we've been taught as kids, and it's been around for a very long time. And these teachings are not necessarily just applied to just Freemasons. This has been around for a long time.
Yeah, this is ancient knowledge that has been around through different mystery schools that has been passed down, and we use it in a specific way that's, was created by, I believe, the UGLE 1717. They started their own process. But one thing that I do like about Masonry was mentorship. You have people that you would have never have met that are in different parts of their lives, and they pull you to the side and say, "Hey man, how are you doing? Hey, give this a shot, or look at things this way." And that's the challenge. That's what makes you grow. You're going to meet some great individuals in the craft.
That was my biggest attraction to it, to be quite honest, because in today's days and times, we have a lot of young people who are basically throwing the middle finger at anyone who's older and their ideals and their principles. And in the lodge, I can come in and find an older gentleman who's 80 years old, who's like, "Hey, Brother Javier, settle down, and let me tell you why you need to settle down. Here's why. Here's X, Y, or Z, and here's the deal. You haven't reached this point in your life, but you will someday understand this." And they give you perspective. And behind lodge doors, you have an older gentleman and a younger gentleman who are learning from each other. And that part of the fraternity is really, really critically important, And there's obviously a conflict there, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm a young buck and I want to break through the walls and I want to do whatever I want to do. And there's an old guy who's like, "Hey, bro,
settle down, buddy."
Remember, you remember that movie Colors, the old school gangster movie?
Yeah.
Do you remember what the older cop tells the younger cop? He says, "Hey, bro, I'm looking down there." Or what did he say? Down there, there's a
cow.
There's a cow. I
want to bang.
Yeah, exactly. He goes, "I want to go bang her. I'm going to run out there and bang her." He goes, "Hey, dude, walk down slowly and bang all the cows." So he's teaching them, and it's literally like a level of learning from an older gentleman to a younger gentleman. That's like, "Hey, dude, you can go down there, you can bang her for sure, but how about you walk down, you bang them all?"
They're passing, they're passing down knowledge, man.
Silly kind of relationship, but they are passing down knowledge in a way that like young men need to hear today. In a way.
I think being a boy dad, I have 2 boys. Being a Mason has shown them through me how to act and how to be. And, people come up to me like, "Dude, your boys are so well mannered." And, looking at me, I don't look like that. And
this guy.
Yeah, they're like, "Where did they get them from?" Like,
looks like a Grateful Dead reject, huh?
Where do these kids get these morals, and why are you so polite? I'm like, well, I'm not always on, air quotes.
Yeah.
I want my kids to be respectful, and like you were saying, you see so much disrespectful young kids that it's boggling. It's sad almost too.
It's very much so. And the principles of Masonry have helped you teach, help you pass down to your kids.
Yeah.
On how to be a man.
And like, how you're saying it makes a good man better. And I think a lot of that carries from your home. My dad was a great man. He showed me a lot. But I think me hanging around older guys in my lodge, I was able to take some of my dad's lessons that he gave to me and further them and tweak them a little bit to show my kids like, I didn't graduate high school. You know what I mean? I was always one of those kids like, you don't need this piece of paper to tell you that you're somebody. You go out and you hustle and you grind and you make it happen. And my kids, I see that in them now, and it's pretty cool, man. But I want them to go to school. I'm like, you need to finish.
Success comes in generations, man.
Yeah, man. Like you said, I butt my head against the wall, but I eventually broke it down. But I was like, look, man, here's an easier way to do it. Get an education.
Success comes in generations. That's a big part of Masonry, right? Like, how do we make the next generation better, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's a big part of Masonry, I think. At least to me. At least what I've taken from it.
I think it's like your legacy is what you leave behind. And what I'm going to leave behind isn't anything material. It's my children.
Yeah.
That's my legacy. Like, what are they going to be? How are they going to be when they're dads? What are they going to bring to the world? Like who's not to say that, my kid will be somebody great and, touch a lot of people's lives the way Freemasonry taught me.
I want to leave a mark, not a stain on the road.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. The kids learn by example, and they're just emulating your behaviors. Just mean that you're making a good job.
Thank you, man.
You know.
Yeah. Good job. Yeah.
If I might bring back bring back to Masonic 101, how does one become a Mason? Or what are the requirements to become a Mason?
Oh, that's a good point.
Well, you look at the to be one, ask one hashtag, right? And so you find a Mason, ask him. Well, yeah. But how many times have you gone to the secretary and never got anything back?
Yeah.
I mean, that's happened to me.
That's a challenge too.
Right? That's a challenge. So I think the short way of doing it is through their social media channels. Most of the folks who are in charge of that ask and they check them out. That's probably the best way to do it, because if you see a phone number, don't call it. Nobody's going to answer that phone, dude. It's not going to happen.
Or just if you're interested, it's probably because either you saw something online or you know one. If that's the very common phrase we say is, like you said, to be one, ask one.
Yeah.
We do not recruit. We do not go out and look for people and say you should join this organization for whatever reason. So if you want to be a Freemason, ask a Freemason. Find one out there, ask them, or like you said, reach out on social media. You can try the phone number. You can try
the email. Not going to get anything.
You might. It depends on the lodge. I mean, that's our experience. But you know, but don't be discouraged. Ask, get out there, talk to people who are Freemasons. You know, reach out via social media. Find a Freemason who's out there who you know. Ask them. Again, we do not recruit. It's not a part of what we do.
You will not become rich or famous too.
Right.
This is not the Illuminati.
This is not Jay-Z.
No, and none of that's going to happen. You're going to be put in touch with either the lodge secretary or the master of the lodge, and then you'll find when there's a social night, so that way you could go down there and meet. And I do recommend visiting 2 or 3 lodges in your area, so that way you can see the culture of each lodge. Each one is very different.
Yeah,
some are more esoteric than others.
Yeah. So that's a very good point. So when if you are interested in becoming a Mason and you want to visit different lodges, you should rather visit different lodges to figure out which one is going to be copacetic to your lifestyle. Because the reality is there are different groups of people who hang out. Right? It's like if I got this motorcycle group over here, I might be into them. If I got this group over here of guys who bowl, I might be into them. Whatever. It's the same thing with the Masonic lodges. Like there's certain lodges who. There might be a lot of brothers there that you meet and you're like, oh, these are the kind of guys I want to hang out with. And you're going to be hanging out with these guys for a long time. Mm-hmm. So make sure you choose the lodge that suits you and spend some time before just jumping in. Because a mistake a lot of people make, and I made the mistake too. I found the right lodge, but I made the mistake in jumping in. Just get me through the degrees. Just make me a Mason. I want to be a Mason, and going through really quickly, right? But not really understanding like, oh, I'm going to be with these guys for a long time.
That's your base.
These are my guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it wasn't, I take that back. It wasn't a mistake. I just didn't know because I was a new Mason, just coming in and kind of bulldogging, you know. I was that bull in the China, you know, store, you know, just breaking down everything, going, let me be a Freemason, you know, like, but definitely, like you said, take your time, go to different lodges, figure out what lodge might be the lodge for you, and know that it's going to be a long time thing. You're going to make a lot of friends in that lodge, and they're going to be almost family to you for the rest of your life. So,
and I would also recommend waiting a couple years before you join an independent body, because a lot of people just jump in, get their 3rd degree, and then go straight to either Shriners or York or Scottish Rite, and then you never see them again. You know,
clout chasers.
Yeah, they just want titles and shit, and that's not cool, man. Do your work, man. Give your brothers the respect they deserve, especially in their lodge, and put in some work if you can. If you can join the line, cool, because you're going to learn a lot more in the line than you do sitting on the sidelines. And it's okay to sit on the sidelines, but if you get involved and you learn ritual, then you're able to pass that down. You're learning something that you're able to pass down. You know? Yeah, and that's what we need right now.
Yeah. Again, another mistake I made. I was like, get me through all the degrees. I want to get there. You know. But I did good, and it's been a good experience for me. But I can say this, though. As fast as I went through everything, I was like, oh, I'm still learning almost every day, something new every day. So I really believe it's a lifelong journey.
It is. You never stop learning. And I don't think your ashlar is ever going to be smooth.
Right.
all the way around. There's always going to be some superfluous areas of yourself that you just chip away little by little until, you get comfortable with who you are and where you're going in life.
Yeah, absolutely. Got to smooth it away. So, so we know that you got to be a man, right? You got to be a good man. 18. What are the requirements are there?
No felonies.
And what they call, you cannot have committed a crime of moral turpitude.
In other words, a felony.
A felony. Or you can't be a rapist or a murderer or any of those kind of things. But it's pretty much a felony. But that's the ancient word we use, moral turpitude, right? Mm-hmm. So anything else could bar you from becoming a Mason.
You have to be able to support yourself and family.
Yes.
Yeah. Although we are a charitable organization, we're not a charity.
Yes.
And there's been some people who've gone through the West Gate where they thought this was a charity. And fortunately, they found out the hard way. It's not. It's just, you're expected to be a man and take care of your business.
Yep, absolutely.
That's rule number one, man.
Yep.
Take care of your business.
Take care of your business. You got to take care of things or you can't be a part of this, period. So, so what is your experience as a Mason, or how's your experience as a Mason shaped kind of your reality? Because I know it's shaped mine in a way quite a bit, right? It's made me think and take a step back and go, whoa, like you said, in due bounds, right? Like when I think of things, when I react to things, when I talk to people, for me, it's been a largely kind of inward thinking process in my life. I'm like, oh, damn, I could be a lot better in a lot of areas that I thought I was already cool in. You know what I mean? So like how has Masonry kind of helped shape your life?
Just again through like a lot of just self-reflection and self-assessment. Like you said, just taking it back and like, fuck, I could have done this a lot better. I need to slow down, or I need to speed up, or I should have thought it through instead of just jumping in with both feet.
Right.
And that carries through everything, not just Masonry, but
everything, right?
Yeah, it coincides, meshes beautifully.
It provides you a framework for you to follow a code of morality and know how to walk and act, right?
Right.
It doesn't make you a good man per se, but give you the tools for you to become a good man for yourself.
Correct. Yeah.
It's definitely made me a lot more patient. Before I was pretty patient with a lot of things, but especially, I tattoo. You get clients, just test your patience.
Yeah.
And then having two boys, they do the same thing.
Wait till they turn 18, bro. Mine just turned 18, though.
Mine are 14 and
It doesn't
13.
stop, man.
Oh, man. It gets worse. The challenges get worse.
Yeah.
I got two of them ganging up on me at the same time. So I'm like, look, stay in your room. I'm going to go think about this. I'll be right back. And then come back with a solution that everybody's happy with. But yeah, it's definitely made me a lot more patient.
I believe for me, it has opened more paths in knowledge in the ancient crafts and the ancient mystery schools. Occult is no longer an F word for me. Before, occult was, a lot of people still think occult is satanic. It's not. It's hidden from the eye. Right. It is for the initiatory, people who you choose to be a part of your group. And that's what Freemasonry is. You're choosing these folks who come in to learn these things to better themselves.
Right. Yeah, you're right. That occult word has been in, I think you might track that back to like Germanic stuff happening in like World War II and Hitler, and you can track it back to where it turned like a really bad corner. It just means ancient hidden knowledge,
hidden from the eye.
Hidden from the eye.
That is a cult. When you're talking about Hitler, and it's probably a whole other podcast.
we could do 10 podcasts.
We could talk about the Vril, the Thul, and the Black Sun Society. There's some deep stuff that went on there, man.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to get too deep in it because this is Masonry 101.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of minds here that are Masonic minds that our minds kind of drift a bit when it comes to these topics, because we can talk for days and days and days.
Rabbit holes, man.
Oh, for sure. I think that, for somebody to want to be a Mason has to have a very introspective, a very curious mindset. You know what I mean? Like the average person who's going to join Masonry is not just somebody who's like, oh, I just saw this on TV and I want to join Masonry. Their minds are spinning. They're thinking. Most of them are probably pretty intellectual, at least in my experience.
I have the same experience, man. I've met some very, very talented, like-minded individuals, very, very intelligent individuals in Masonry.
Yeah. Super smart. I've met some really, really smart guys. I'm like, oh, okay, this is cool. Like, it's cool to be around people like that and to kind of bounce ideas off and to be able to have conversations without people being really guarded, you know? So, like, today, if I were to talk about, for instance, like you just said, the dramatic piece of, like, occultism, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. If I brought that up, people are like, oh, my God, hold on, what is that? Is that saying? I'm like, no, we're just talking about concepts and ideas from history.
Yeah.
We're just having a conversation. It's just a conversation that, you know, is an important conversation that we should have. I think it's cool, you know, like, I want to learn more about that. I want to know where their mindset was, why they were thinking that, what they were doing, that kind of thing. So, but back to Freemasonry 101. So what made you guys want to join?
The Simpsons, watching the Stonecutters. I think that for people of my age, that seriously, like,
this guy.
I talked to a lot of brethren that, you know, they're in their 40s, and to them that was like a curio, like,
yeah.
Hey, what is this secret society? Like, is this really a thing? And then, you know, we're blessed with the first generation of the internet, and then you start, you know, like you said, you know, curious but with an open mind and then you start looking at it, and then in my family there's Masons, and then I started noticing, hey dude, what's that ring you have? Is that for grandpa? And they're like, no, it's a G for.
And where's your family from, though?
My dad is from Coahuila, Torreon, and that's where most of the family resides from.
What country is that in?
Mexico.
See, what I'm getting at is I have a lot big Latino following, and they don't know that Masonry goes deep into Mexican culture.
Dude. The first Mexican, Benito Juarez, first president, Benito Juarez, he was a Freemason, and he was from the Oaxaca Lodge, I think, but he wasn't made a Mason in Mexico. I think he was like in Louisiana, because he got exiled from Mexico, and he had to live like in Louisiana. Yeah. Became a lawyer, and then came back, and then became president. And then
Vicente Guerrero was also a Freemason too. He's another Masonic president in Mexico. Yeah. So there's sorry, excuse me, guys, clear my throat. It goes way back, you know.
Like
so
car seats, all the way back.
So like lower the car seats or what?
What kind of car seat we talking about?
Yeah, 65 Impala, bro. So the Simpsons. I'm older than you. I go back to the Flintstones, bro.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that.
When they had the hats on and the horns.
The
they were like
Lodge.
Yeah, they were Buffalo Lodge. They were like the original Shriners or something, you know.
Woolly Mammoth Lodge.
Well, I think it was
something like that. Yeah. So it goes way back, man. That's how old I am, you know. So what made you, Brother Mike, want to join Freemasonry?
Well, I was sitting watching a movie with my dad as a child, and we were watching The Man Who Would Be King, and I noticed the symbol that Sean Connery was wearing. I asked my father, "What is that?" He goes, "Well, that's Freemasonry." And by the way, your great grandfather was a Freemason in Mexico, and he was a founder of a lodge out there. And I'm like, "Oh shit, okay." And through my years, I just started doing more research on what Freemasonry actually is, reading books and such, and, you know, talking to people. And then finally I decided to knock. And here I am. Cool.
There's your journey.
That was my journey.
What about you, Brother Rod?
I think I was looking for something that would be bigger than myself, something I wanted to belong to something and have the opportunity to learn lessons in leadership. And I think when you are part of a lodge, you're basically running a small business along with your brothers. So I learned a lot from every that I take out of it.
Yeah, for sure. I think for me personally, I had read, I'm a huge, my mind spins constantly, never stops, right? So as a young boy, even in when I was like 19, 20, which is like 20, almost 22 years ago, a long time. I'm an old guy, right? So back in the late 90s, I had a friend give me a book called The Biggest Secret, which is a whole conspiracy theory book about all the things you can think of, right? Way pre the, what was that stupid book that the guy
wrote?
Which one?
Pre-QAnon?
Way pre-QAnon for sure. But it was a conspiracy theory book way back in the day who talked about all kinds of stuff.
Is it Behold the Pair Horse?
No, that was a good one too.
That was a very good one.
That's a good one. Rule by Secrecy, Behold the Pair Horse. But it's called The Biggest Secret. But it was before a lot of stuff before people knew the terminology of Illuminati, basically, right? This guy was saying that stuff. His name was David Icke. He was basically the Alex Jones before there was Alex Jones.
Yes, he's huge.
It's who he was. Yes, it's who he was.
Yes.
I have the book right here, by the way.
He gets into reptilians and a whole bunch of weird stuff. The time loop, Tales from the Time Loop. Is that it? Oh.
Yeah, there it is. Told you. So this was before like the Da Vinci Code came out and all that
Yes.
stuff. And I had read this a long time ago, and I was like, oh, this is crazy. Let me look into this. So I had already had a curious mind, and that was very conspiratorial. But then I met a guy when I was 23, almost 24 years old. He became a business partner of mine, a friend of mine to this day. We're still great friends. And he's like, dude, I'm a Freemason, man. I was like, well, what is that? Talk to me more about that. I read all kinds of shit about that. This is basically almost pre-internet times almost, you know?
Yeah.
So like, it wasn't like everyone just had their fingertips of like bullshit, you know? I was like, well tell me more. Feed me more concept. He's like, dude, here's what I can tell you. You would fit great into this fraternity. And that's all I can tell you. And if you want to join, find your local lodge in your area and ask them when they have their stated meeting, and show up and dress nice. He told me back in the day, I'm going to make myself sound stupid right now. He says, like, you dress really cute, metrosexual. Because he was from because I wasn't even in Florida at the time. I was like 20, I don't know, young. But so he's like,
frosted tips.
Yeah. He's like, bro, just don't show up too metrosexual. Because remember, they're just guys hanging out, you know what I mean? But just dress nice, but just show up and say something and ask them how to become a Freemason if you want to be one. That's all he told me. And that was the beginning of my journey. And so here I am, a few years later, kind of hanging out with a bunch of brethren. And I got you guys hanging out with me. And, we all know each other pretty well. I mean, this guy over here, I'll kill someone for. And you, I might slap somebody for 5 times and then maybe kill them. And now you, I might kill them for you too.
All right.
No, I'm just kidding.
We will sacrifice
throwing
you.
That out there. But yeah. No, but just totally kidding. But just saying that, like, we have... It's took me on a path where I've met a lot of really great men. And when my friend told me, hey, here's how to get your path going, the first thing I did is I did a bunch of research. And I think the one thing that I was taken aback by the most, this is the one thing that really caught my eye, was when I started to research who were past Freemasons in history.
Yeah.
It absolutely blew my mind. Like, I was taken aback, where I sat down going, holy crap. Just about every man I was ever taught about in the public education system, almost all of them. If you go back and you research, you guys are probably going to be like, what the hell? But if you go back and you research, if you look at like the Alamo, there was brothers in the Alamo.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Manifest Destiny, there was brothers during that. If you look at the Redcoats are coming,
Yeah.
There was brothers involved in that. If you look
Civil
at
War.
The Civil War, there was brothers involved in that. The Revolutionary War, Brother Benjamin Franklin went back to France and used Masonic ties to help out the Revolutionary War. Look into that. There's, and I started to look into more and more, and that's ancient times. But even if you look in modern times, brothers like Houdini, brothers like Richard Pryor.
Yeah, that was going to say is like Richard Pryor blew my mind. I was like, what the hell?
Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah.
Webster.
Yeah. If you look at from ancient to modern times, like you start to look at, and every time, here's the thing I find which makes me excited, but also kind of almost like holy crap, this is bigger than I thought it was. Is every time I hear about like a guy who's just doing great, I'm like, let me just Google, was that guy a Freemason? I'm like, oh shit, he's a Freemason too. Like, damn, that guy too? Like, holy shit. Like, it really, so to me, the reason why I joined is as I started to pull that onion back and peel back the layers of like what it was to me, I was like, here's the deal. I don't know what it is, but if I could be part of a group of men that are part of this group of men, I'm definitely going to try it. I'm going to give that a shot. You know what I mean? And there's something that attracts great men to this thing. And I'm not great, but if I can be just 0.1% of great as those guys are, I'm going to try to do that. And that was my journey, And that's why I joined. I was like, oh, this is cool. And also because my buddy who told me about Freemasonry was a great guy. And I was like, oh, this guy is he did so many favors for me, man, without even knowing me early on.
Yeah. And we have some great Masons right now doing the same work. In writing, you have Angel Miller, Jamie Paul Lamb, P.D. Newman, guys doing lectures like Dago Rodriguez and Joe Martinez in the East Coast. We have a lot of talented individuals right now living that are around our age, putting in the work and making a mark for Masonry again, which is awesome.
And then in my line of work, I'm a tattoo artist, dude, and it's another craft. Like Masonic, we have apprentices and fellow crafts and master tattooists at one point. But we have a lot of very famous, at least to tattoo artists, Freemasons, Sailor Jerry, Percy Waters, I think Paul Rogers.
Sailor Jerry was a Mason?
Yeah, dude, from the Honolulu Lodge.
I did not know that.
I don't think he made it to master, but I think he was a fellow craft.
Okay.
He has a ring on in some of the pictures.
Wow, I didn't know that.
He lives
See,
out there,
I'm
but he's
learning more.
from California. He was from, I think, like Ukiah. I think.
Really?
Yeah, I think he was from up north. But
Jesus, I'm learning more shit.
A lot of like this dude named Indian Larry, dude. That dude was Freemason, true. And you look at it, and I'm pretty sure this dude named Percy Waters and Paul Rogers were, I think, and those dudes were machine builders. You know what I mean? So that craft alone helped pave a way for a lot of tattoo artists. And I have a lot of old Masonic, tattoo magazines and books, and you'll always find little flash of like the square and compass, or the all-seeing eye, or the Oddfellows symbols. It's through all of our tattoo history.
Wow.
And it's more like since it's so much symbolism in everything that we do, it correlates, and it that resonated a lot deeper to me, and it started wanting to learn more about stuff too. So
that's crazy. So what's your guys' experience with regards to like what really attracted you to Masonry? Like what was the thing that caught your eye? Because I think that's an important thing, because I think people are very curious, but they haven't had really kind of a reason why, like, oh, it's a curious thing to me. To me, it was my friend, and then just realizing that my historical context around reading and kind of stuff, I was like, oh, there's something more to this that, again, makes good men better, in my opinion. That's been my experience, That's not to say that every Freemason is without,
flaws.
They're flaws. They're humans, right?
Yeah.
They're humans.
Just like me.
I'm a flaw. I'm as flawed as they come. You know what I mean? But I work on it daily.
Yeah.
So.
I think there is a lot of that, how we attract to each other. Like, I just met Mike here, but I could already feel like we're great friends.
Yeah.
I
just good best friends.
Yeah, hell yeah. You like guacamole?
It's like stepbrothers, dude. For
real.
Exactly.
Did we
Real
just
life.
become best friends?
Yeah.
My wife always checks out. She's like, how do you know that guy? I'm like, I just met him today. But we're both Freemasons, and we both pretty much did everything to become a Freemason. I did. He did.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's already that bond. It's kind of like when I meet another tattoo artist, even though I don't know him. Hey, man, like, you did your apprenticeship? Hell yeah. And then we start talking shit about, like, oh, I had to do this. Oh, I had to do that. And I think that what brought me into Masonry is, like, when I approached my lodge in Ontario, 301, I was greeted by a lot of, like, fellow, like, fuck-ups.
Yeah.
But, we all worked out. I think it's kind of like a men's club to better help yourself through other people's experience.
For sure. And have support.
And support, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's the biggest thing. The support thing is amazing, man. Like any one of us here, because we're Master Masons, could travel the world, show up at a lodge and call them and be like, hey,
I'm coming.
Let
me in.
And they will let you in and accept you as if you're a family.
And they'll be happy to see you.
Yes.
I've been lucky in my job. I used to travel a lot, especially in the United States, doing audits. And I visited a bunch of lodges outside of the States. And dude, again, to echo what you were saying, I was received by best friends. Hey, come on over. Let's have dinner. Let's have beer. Meet my family. Let's talk about these esoteric subjects that I can't talk to anybody else about but you, because you're a brother and It's these things that really, going back to what attracted me. What attracted me was the mysticism and the esoterics. That's what attracted me to Masonry. And unfortunately, I didn't get them till after my degrees with the group that I'm with, Keepers of the Word. We just started deep diving into the symbolism and where it came from. And we noticed, like, dude, there's a lot here that we're not talking about. And why aren't we talking about it?
Yeah.
And that's okay. We don't have to. It's not for everyone. But there's a good amount of individuals out there that really want this esoteric knowledge, this Masonic Masonic education, as we put it, but it's not readily available in all lodges, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah, totally, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a very fine line between what Masons talk about and don't talk about, both publicly and internally.
Right,
so that's for sure a thing, and it's an ongoing kind of conversation that we're having now, because Masonry, like everything else, is evolving, right? Everything evolves, right?
Yeah.
And this is evolving too. One thing I'm really excited to see is that I'll give you guys an example. So behind me, you guys can see the scoring compasses, right? For second and third degree, right? So sometimes when I do a Zoom meeting, because I've been working from home for years now, but during COVID, I would do them here. And so the camera, I would have my 4K DSLR if they're set back behind where you guys are at, and it would be filming me, right? And they would see these symbols. And one of the people I work with, he's an older white guy, and he goes, "Hey, man, those symbols behind you, can I talk to you about those after this conversation?" I was like, "Yeah, call me." He said, "What's up?" He goes, "Dude, I never would have thought someone like you would be a Freemason." And I was like, "What does that mean?" Just giving him a hard time. He goes, "I thought there was just a bunch of old grumpy old men who were like white guys who were like definitely not accept a Latino like you." It's like, "You got tattoos on your arms," and he's like, "You got a LA Dodgers hat on." He's, "I would have never even thought for a second in my life that you would be a Freemason." I was like, he goes. So he started asking me questions. He was a curious-minded guy, and even at as old as he is, I mean, I say old, I can put his name out there. He's not that old, but he's an older gentleman, and he had a lot of questions, and he was very inquisitive. He goes, "Man," and the one thing he told me, he goes, "I'm really excited to see that even these kind of things are evolving." And so even the fraternity that we are a part of, the craft we are a part of, is evolving quite a bit, and it's going to continue to evolve.
Yeah, I love the diversity that is it's forming right now. You have so many different individuals from different parts of life, not only parts of different cultures, different religions. This is something that's going to continue to grow in that direction, and I love that I could learn something from my brother here who's from Brazil, but he's German.
Yeah,
he's
a German Brazilian, right?
He's a German Brazilian,
He got green eyes.
That's
we all know that.
Awesome.
We all know that kind of Brazilian, right?
Yeah.
Google that. You're a jerk.
Is Freemasonry in Brazil? Is it big in Brazil?
It is big. It's huge in Brazil. Unfortunately, I haven't participated in Masonry there. I had neighbors who were Masons, and I'll see those people, like, as a kid, I'll see those guys living like well-dressed in a suit and nice cars. I say, that's what I want to be, you know what I mean? And I studied with many Dimolé in school.
Oh, wow, okay.
I haven't had the opportunity to join because my father wasn't a Mason and I wasn't really connected to those kids, but the curiosity was always there, So
Dimolé.
Jacques Dimolé.
Look into that guy.
Yeah.
You all know about him because of Friday the 13th, right?
Knights Templar.
Yeah. So here's a little bit of something you can Google. It's been on the History Channel, so it's not anything I can't talk about. I hope not. Just kidding. No, but I mean, Dimolé would be I would call it the Masonic Boy Scouts.
Yes, the entrance point for the youth orders. You have Dimolé. You also have Job's Daughters.
Job's Daughters, right?
The
Rainbow Girls.
Yeah.
I think the Boy Scouts were founded by Freemasons.
They were founded by Freemasons. Yeah, by a Freemason. Yeah.
So I was a Boy Scout.
Me too.
In the hood. Chino.
I got kicked out.
Yeah, dude. Hey, my Scout masters were straight cholos.
Teaching you how to make spread.
That's
Dude,
right.
I remember one time when we went on a camping trip to Firestone, and these fools brought carne asada. Legit, like they had us cleaning beans. Like we're gonna make frijoles de la olla.
That's hilarious,
dude. It was rad. Like I wouldn't change it for the world, but it was definitely. It's like, hey, you want to play with the filero? I'm like, hell yeah. Show you how to sharpen a knife.
I was a Boy Scout too. I got kicked out though. I think we couldn't afford it. I think technically that was my parents like, oh, we're just not gonna do it anymore. But I think we couldn't afford it, dude.
I wish I would have stayed with it, but it was like from 10 to 12, and around 12 is when I was cool.
Yeah,
and I was too cool to be a Boy Scout.
That might be the
I wish
same
I would have
thing.
stayed it, but yeah, dude, I had fun, man. Like we would go.
My mom didn't let me go, man.
Huh?
Te van a tocar. I was like, wait, what?
She already knew. She already knew.
She's like, hey, you're cute. You're gonna get married.
Hey, she already knew. Well, it turned out that they were very much like the Catholic Church.
Mine was through the Catholic Church.
Okay.
shit.
So the Boy Scouts, I don't know if you guys know this, but very much like the Catholic Church, they now are in huge lawsuits because there were a lot of boys got molested.
Wow.
And like largely, like a huge portion of them were molested.
Thank you, Mom.
Yeah. So she saved you, bro. She knew.
Hey,
She
I
knew.
wasn't,
She's
bro.
like, I know cochino when I see one.
Nobody touched me. Just FYI.
Does that mean I was ugly as a kid?
No.
Or I didn't have game?
Hey, your mom's just like, I know cochino when I see one, bro. You're not going over there.
Exactly.
You know? But no, but the Boy Scouts is almost completely destroyed because of that. That's why now you have the Scouts and not the Boy Scouts. It's Boys and Girl Scouts, because the Scouts has been demolished because of those sex allegations.
But I think that changes the dynamics of things. Like kind of in Masonry, you have Masonry, and then there's female Masonry, and then there's co-Masonry. Now, I don't have a problem with female Masonry whatsoever. And, I know some people who are co-Masons. It's just not my flavor. It's not something that I can, because the minute you put women and men in the lodge, they start acting different.
I can see
and
that.
the dynamics change because now you're accommodating, right? You're accommodating somebody else. Where now I could sit next to this guy and just let one out, and it's okay.
I'm just gonna fart in your thigh, bro. It's all good.
And there's some old guys, man, that oh my God, I thought I was gonna die one time. I was sitting as chaplain, and the secretary, I'm not gonna say his name, but he just fucking old dude, just whoa. I'm like, whoa, and then the smell came.
And it was like all protein farts.
I wanted to go, bro. I just wanted to,
bro.
oh,
Yeah.
kill me, dude. Just kill me because I can't take this shit.
Similac farts. Nah, so that whole thing. So there's a dynamic now where we're becoming a very equal society in a sense, and that's something too. And you know what? I do agree with you in the sense that, and here's the cool thing. I can equate this where women will totally understand this. Is that if you have a group of men together, they're gonna act like how they act like without having to have a wall up or any kind of guard up. They're gonna be men,
Yes,
being cochinos and being whatever they are else. And the same way that a group of women, when they're together, they're gonna act like women who are together without their men being around.
Yeah.
They're gonna be cochinas and having a good time and partying. Like, so when you say that the craft today now has, you said it was male, female, was it the one you said? That you said
co-Masonry.
and co-Masonry,
Yeah.
which is both together.
Yeah.
I do agree that there's a certain sense of things would be different. It wouldn't be what it really is
Correct.
without that. So I had never heard it put that way. So that makes me really think. Yeah, you're right. Like if it's kind of like when you're hanging out with your boys, and then you're hanging out with your boys and your girls. Things are different for both sides, not just the guys, but also for the women. Things change for sure.
The story I heard through a very talented lecturer, her name is Maria de Sabini. The reason in Mexico they allowed women to be Freemasons is because the majority of the women in Mexico were teachers. You go to a ranchito, the teacher was a woman.
Yeah.
And it was her duty to teach all the young people to read, to write, math. And they felt that if they taught the woman about Freemasonry, that she would pass it on to the boys.
Oh,
And then that, because, the men were either in the field or, in battle.
all right.
So that's why co-op in Mexico is different than
Makes
it would be
sense.
in yeah. And I was explaining to that earlier when we first came in, but it touched, it threw my mind into a loop. Like, why? I think it was needed at the time. I don't know if it's needed now. I mean, I'm not saying women shouldn't be Freemasons, but I would totally feel different if there was women in my lodge.
It's a necessity at that point in that area. It was a necessity
Yeah,
at that time
exactly.
to carry the educational things down.
Yeah.
See, I get that. I totally get that. 100%. We're living in a weird time where it's like to say that like I want to hang with my boys is a bad thing. Like, or I want to hang with my women or my friends as a woman is a bad thing. Like, no, we need our separate time together for a reason.
Exactly.
It's not a bad or a negative. In my opinion, it's not a bad or a negative contextual thing to say. I want to hang with my boys. I want to go fishing and have Bud Lights on the shore and just tell my friend, why my life sucks right now. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's a part of life, though, man. I think that's aside from Masonry. In any relationship, you need to have that separation where you have your you time and then your time with your spouse or partner.
Yeah.
You know, you have to be able to separate that, because if you just continuously bring it all together as once, it doesn't have the same meaning.
Same thing, dude. Like, I'm an avid barber. I go to barber shops. One of the cool barbershops I used to go to, they would allow women in there, and some, lady made a fuss like, "Oh, I want my haircut, I want to fade." Like, the owner was like, "Look, dude, chill. Like, these dudes are here, they're venting. We don't want to accidentally offend somebody, and then we're on the Me Too movement.
Right.
Like, I think there's a time and a place for everything, and sometimes I don't take my kids to a salon. Like, we go to a barbershop.
Right.
And it's kind of like a lodge. Like, they learned a lot by being in a barbershop. As a young man, you learn how to be around older men, how to, like, not talk out of turn, how to listen. Right. And you learn valuable life lessons, man, like, that you would only learn in a barbershop. Being cochinos, like, yeah. But it's like being in a lodge. Like, you sometimes need to affiliate with your own gender.
And let me throw a wrench in that game. But I know some women who I would call butchy lesbians, who are friends of mine, that consider that barbershop and do the same shit we do, that I would absolutely accept. Like in other words, I know there's some women in my life who are definitely butchy lesbians who can talk the same way we're talking right now and not be offended and be totally okay with it. And I would accept that. I don't know in Masonry, but I would accept that in the barbershop though. Like, it would be cool.
But you can't nut check them.
That's true.
He went there, man.
You know what? Okay, you're right. Okay, I take it back. That's true.
On the other hand,
you can tit check them.
You can't cup check them, bro. Yeah. I'm just saying you can't. You know what? You're right. All right. Okay. I was trying to be inclusive for a second, but you're right. It
was a lesbian that made a big fuss of it in the barbershop in question. Not to mention names, but they went through a lot because of that. They stuck to their grounds.
Were they Me Too because of that?
I kind of. You know what I mean? And that's so like, stupid, dude. Like, kind of just like, dude, like, moving on. Like, do you really want to be somewhere where they don't want you?
Why would you want to give your money to a business who doesn't want? Yeah, I get that too.
It's kind of like, well, why don't you start your own barbershop? I'm not. Yeah, it's cash money too.
We're definitely finding ourselves in a very weird time.
Yeah. You can't say anything without saying anything wrong to offend somebody.
The movies I enjoyed the most in the 70s and 80s.
Oh my god!
You cannot watch today.
Forget about it.
Meatballs. Jesus Christ, you cannot watch that. You couldn't even watch freaking Spaceballs today.
Yeah, without people.
It would offend somebody. You know what I mean?
Dude, History of the World. You can't do that.
Forget it. Yeah.
Any of the Eddie Murphy movies from back in the day,
sure.
How much they threw the N-word at him.
48 hours.
48 hours. Nick Nolte. That guy was rough.
So man, this is not Masonic, and let's not go down that path because
let's get back on Masonic
because we can talk about this shit forever. To be honest,
let's talk about how you don't get into Masonry.
Ooh, that's a good question. Okay, so
some dude hits you up on Instagram saying that if you give him $10,000,
you want to be part of the Illuminati?
Part of the Illuminati.
Those fuckers.
Yeah, it's funny. If you just hashtag Mason once, it's like the Illuminati coming in your DM.
Yeah.
All the time. Do you want to be a part of the Illuminati? Give me $5. Like, get out of here, you fucking guy.
Clown shoes, man.
But I think not being part of the Masonry is obviously, like we said, more crimes of turpitude, right? You can't be a felon.
But here's the thing we're not talking about, man. It takes one black ball, and that's it. You're done for that lodge, and then you got to wait a year to try again.
Can we talk about that? Is that anything?
Well, look, real quick. That's why I say go to several different lodges to find the culture that you want to be a part of,
right? And
then get to know the guys, because we've had guys come through where they're like that. They're like, oh, I want to join the Illuminati. I want to get rich and famous. This isn't for you, bro. You're not. I'm sorry, but this isn't gonna work out. Right. Like you think that this is an organization that is gonna get you famous and become this great rapper or whatever it may be.
Right.
And it's not that. You're joining for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
So those are the type of people that don't get into Masonry.
Yep. And that'll make you That'll put a big red flag on your back for the rest of the Masons if you come
for
in
sure.
acting like that.
Yeah.
It's not, because it's definitely not about that. See, what people don't realize is that, like, I hear what you're saying. People all the time, like, oh, is there connections? Is there rich and powerful people? Sure, there's rich and powerful people in Masonry. Of course.
There are.
Like in any other fraternity that's this big, it's the oldest and biggest fraternity in the world. For sure, there's a lot of us who are very well connected, who are very well established people. But that doesn't mean that that's what this is about. It's definitely not about that. It is 100% not about that. It is about growing yourself. It's almost like there's a, damn man, I'm going to mess this up 100%. So I'm just going to give a paraphrase about it. But basically, like, if you want to change the world, don't try to change somebody else. Change yourself.
Correct. Be on the level.
Be on the level. Right. That's what we call it, right?
That's what we call it. Being on the level. When you walk through the lodge doors, it doesn't matter what you do or, where you come from. We're all the same. We're all brothers.
Right.
That's what it should be, right? We're all brothers. We're all the same. What you do, how much money you have, that has nothing to do with Masonry. It's literally, we're all the same. We're taking the same path, and we're helping each other become better individuals.
And we all had to go through the same degrees to get to this point in our journey in Freemasonry.
Yeah.
There's old stories, and I think it was King Henry VIII. I don't remember, but one of the English kings a long time ago was a Freemason. And there's stories about him being in lodge with, like, the poorest man in the village and him in the lodge at the same time. Behind closed doors, they were still brethren.
Okay.
They were still brothers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's the way it is.
And that's the way it is. Behind closed doors, we're all still brothers.
Imagine,
you guys here?
Imagine being in George Washington's lodge.
Oh, man.
Dude.
So let's talk about
The stories you'd hear.
let's talk about Freemasons, because a lot of people, especially when it comes to America, I don't think people really realize or grasp the concept of Freemasonry in the sense of how much it has influenced America as a whole.
John Wayne.
As a whole, the country as a whole,
Yeah.
and let alone society as a whole. So like popular Freemasons, just starting from the beginning, right? In America.
Ellington.
Well, George Washington, right? The
Yeah,
first
George
president,
Washington.
right?
So
Benjamin
we're talking
Franklin.
about American Freemasonry?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, American Freemasonry. So, because this is most people that are listening from America, right? So, and namely Southern California. But if you think about it,
Nat King Cole.
Nat King Cole. Yep.
Duke Ellington.
Duke
Changed
Ellington.
jazz
Yep. Forever. Yep.
Right now, he's a famous rapper, Apathy. That dude's sick as hell.
Dude is badass, bro. I've seen him
Apathy
live.
has some dope ass music.
Bro, have you
He's
seen
done
The
stuff
Widow's
with
Son?
Yeah.
Bro,
The
I've
Widow's
seen it
Son song
live,
is
man.
sick,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
You seen it
dude.
live for real?
Yeah, he's come down here a couple times.
Really?
Yeah.
I would love to see him live, dude.
We need to go.
I'm down.
Oh, this is that venue in Orange County.
The Observatory?
The Observatory.
He played at Catch 22 in downtown LA, and he played at DiPiazza's in Long Beach. We've caught him several times out here.
A lot of people don't know who he is, but Apathy.
That's OG shit right there. The
Apathy
demigods.
has some serious Masonic music that's really cool.
Him and Enemy the Illest.
Yes.
He's another badass motherfucker who.
Yeah. Past Master Ryan turned me on to Apathy. He's the shit,
Yeah.
dude.
Brother Diego. He was from my lodge. He's in a band called Lionsgate now.
Dude,
Metal.
okay, so I was talking about Brother Diego earlier. That guy, super cool.
rad, talented guitar player.
Right on.
I got to work for him, dude, at his old shop.
I'm always impressed on how much Diego can accomplish, dude. He
Yeah,
has so many businesses and so many things going on at the same time.
I've never met him, dude.
Yeah.
His Instagram make me tired.
Famous tattoo artist, Luke Westman. He was on Ink Masters. There's another gentleman on Ink Masters.
Luke Weissman, right?
Yeah.
Dude, that dude's badass too.
Let's take it to history, though. Historical context, right? So if people don't realize that
Davy Crockett.
David Crockett, part of the Alamo, right?
Dude,
So
I forgot the name of the guy, but he was in Tombstone. I think his name was Utah Jack.
Huckleberry. I'll be your Huckleberry.
No. He was one of the dudes that came to help. His name was Utah Jack, I think. He in the movie has a
Square and Compass.
I never realized that.
But he was a real brother, not the actor, but he was playing a brother, and he was the Grandmaster, I think, of Utah.
I
think his name is actually Utah Jack. Is what they call him.
I didn't know that.
But I'm not sure. But he comes out in Tombstone.
Now I'm gonna watch it again.
Yeah.
Dude.
It's a they get into some crazy shootout, and like this dude's helping them catch all the cowboys, and he's like in a like a blue suit, and he has like a medallion chilling, and he's helping out Doc Holliday.
That's cool, man. I didn't even know that.
But I looked into it because I was like, I paused. I was like, what the fuck? And like, yeah, and it was like, I think his name is Utah Jack.
That's super cool. So one thing a lot of people don't know is like 14 of the last 45 presidents were Freemasons, right?
Gerald Ford being the last one.
Yeah. We need another one.
So not a Barack Obama, not Donald Trump,
right?
Not George Bush.
Not
I'm
George
sorry,
Bush,
none of these guys were Masons, man.
It was one that mattered to be a president, I think.
If you want a nice rabbit hole to go down, check out, and this is European Masonry. Check out Count Saint Germain.
Oh yeah,
that itself is a story. Whoa, whether it's true or not, I don't know, but that's a story. And I believe Manly P. Hall covers in depth a lot of that in his book, Secret Teachings of All Ages. And I also went to a lecture by Merrick Hamer at the Illumination Lectures thrown in South Pass through those guys. They do great lecture series, Illumination Lecture Series. And Merrick Hamer talked about Count Rakoczy, which is Count Saint Germain. And it was very, very informative. Very informative.
Yeah. So, just circling back a little bit though, touching on the amount of presidents that have been Freemasons. If you break it down to a percentage, because you're a president, there's 45 presidents, but many of them served 2 terms. So, but of that 45, 14% is almost almost 1/3 of presidents have been Freemasons. Yeah. And that's pretty cool. We haven't had one recently, but I hope to God we do get another one at some point.
I think we need it at this point in time because I feel that the 2-party system isn't really working for us in this world. We're being divided. The divide and conquer thing is real. And I feel if we did have a man with great moral turpitude, a Mason, we would probably be led in a better direction.
100%. I totally agree.
I think he would have so much pressure on him to not fuck up. It comes from like a serious place. Dude. Like,
yeah,
yo, like I'm a Freemason. There's Freemasons around the world. If I fuck this up, I'm gonna give everybody a bad name.
No, that's where you get all your brothers involved. And
that's
you start
so true. Though. That's true.
Yeah, but you know how politics gets scandalous, and they'll try to catch dirt on a clean dude.
In the same token, as a Freemason, he would have so much help.
Oh yeah,
he would have all the help in the world to help him be successful. For sure. Yeah. No, you're right though. You're right. It would be a lot of pressure, but all the brothers in this country, I think there's like, I don't know how many, a couple millions of us. I don't know. I don't know the number, but I know
it's a lot.
It's a lot. There's about 1 million or so in the entire country.
Worldwide?
I'll Google it right now, but it's about 1 million or over 1 million in the entire country that would totally come to his help and to protect, to make him successful as much as we could. You know what I mean? Like, but you're right. I do think we do need that, man. Right now, society's in such a weird place that I think what we're lacking is
we need unity, man.
And that and people with moral compass, like, dude, like.
But so let me ask you guys a tough question. Sorry to cut you off, but tough question. So when you say unity, and let's get in the thick of what I want to talk about. So do you guys think religion is lacking? So when I say this, let me preface this in a way. I don't necessarily think, me personally, that religion taught me how to be a good person. My parents did. Mm-hmm. Life did. Those kinds of things, right? But I also needed a moral compass. And when I was young, I found kind of a solace in religion a couple of times in my life, as a young guy. But I think today's society is lacking not religion, but an idea of a greater power than themselves. So today we have this weird situation where everybody is about me, 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 me. How can I be the TikTok person? How can I be this person? How can I be that person? How do I get attention? But society's, I think we've extrapolated, like, whether it's God or it's religion or something from society today, where we have an entire generation of kids who are completely, this is a strong word, but I'm going to say it, inept. Yeah. They're completely inept. They're completely incapable of dealing with the reality of life. And I think the challenges that are going to come at them in the next few years as they grow up is going to be very detrimental to their health, mental health. I think suicides are going to jump. I think there's a whole bunch of stuff. And I don't know if it's because of extrapolation, because we remove God or religion, but what is missing in today's society that Freemasonry can give back to society today to sort of course correct what we're seeing? Because I think everybody who's listening can look and go, yeah, shit's kind of fucked up right now. How do we fix this?
Well, I feel in a way.
Question, sorry, by the way.
I feel in a way certain religions have failed in bringing unity together because everybody wants to be right. I think more spirituality and more science, that would probably rectify certain things. And I understand that our younger generation is very narcissistic. They want it to be about me. And over the time, that's going to have to change, you know, and you're going to have to serve instead of being given. Yeah. And that's one of the purposes of life is to serve, you know, find your gift and give it away.
Yeah. Something that I was taught, you know, through going through family therapy with my boys is same thing with religion is that if you're only doing good because you're fearing something, you're not a good person. You should want to do good because you realize your part in society is needed. So like with my kids, it's kind of like, I don't want them to like, don't do your chores because you're scared that I'm going to come and beat your ass. Like do your chores because I need this room not to smell like ass and feet when I get home. Right. You know what I mean? Like it's the better for everybody. And I think that's something that like you need to be taught at home is like, you're not doing it because, you know, you're scared of the repercussions. You're doing it because you want to be a good part of society. And I think that a lot of people, a lot of parents are just dropping the ball that on parents is like, you're only doing something because you're fearing the repercussions, not because you want to be a good person. You just don't want to end up doing dumb shit.
That makes sense.
You know, getting grounded.
It's a rewiring of the mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Just feels good to do good, right?
Yeah,
you feel
exactly.
fulfillment when you do something for someone else, and you feel happy.
And with religion, dude, like I was raised Catholic. Dude, like I could tell you some horrible, crazy shit. Like I hate seafood to this day because my parents for Lent went hard, dude. Like I was taking jaiba and ceviche to school when I was like in like elementary school, and I just wanted a peanut butter sandwich, and they're like, "No, you can't eat that. You're gonna go to hell." Like that's
ridiculous.
That warps a kid, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it drove me to where I hated Catholicism. And then I started going through Chicano studies and then hated it even more because of what they did. But then as I got older, like you said, like I kind of started not necessarily finding Jesus, but like what Catholicism was supposed to instill. Not necessarily the bad, but like the good foundations of it. Like, you know, taking care of your mind, body, and your soul. And that got lost in translation to where I'm like, dude, you better not do this. You're going to go to hell. Like, why? If it feels good, you know what I mean? And then that turned me into like reading more occult stuff that I probably shouldn't have been reading at that young of age, but it exposed me.
He's like, holy shit, what is this, witchcraft?
Yeah, exactly. Like, like Hinduism, like, dude, whatever feels good. You know, Aleister Crowley. I'm like, so I got stuck into that loophole, and then it was kind of hard to get out. But like once you find kind of like a purpose, like your life just goes good.
Yeah.
You got to understand that, you know, life isn't fair. It's going to fuck you. Life isn't supposed to be easy. You can make it easier on yourself, though.
100%.
By not being a tick.
We just evolve, man. As humans, we evolve. As we get older, we evolve. Like I said, I had a very inquisitive mind when I was a young kid, you know, all the way through high school. That book was given to me. I read this book at like 19, 20. It was just any 19-year-old kid should not be reading that book. You know,
you're not ready for that.
You're not ready for that kind of information, you know. And so
it's like the Anarchist Cookbook, dude. I remember I got a copy of that
as
soon as I was ever download AOL.
The book I'm pointing at is The Biggest Secret by David Icke. It's an insane book. It's funny to me though. All these kids today who are like, "Oh, the reptilians and the blah blah blah, the blue-blooded human." I'm like, "Oh, you fucking kids have no idea." Been reading this shit for 20 years, like, and you're just spouting it off like you're smart, like you're some kid who just learned something. Like,
there's a lot of fake wokeness going on right now in our society. People who think they know, you know, spirituality. People who pose themselves as the answer when they're not. You really aren't, because you're not living that life. You're regurgitating it from somebody else. Yes. But you're not really living that life.
What I've seen over the last year, and this is with all due respect, because a lot of people who are listening to this are going to be really butthurt, you know, by me saying this, because I have a lot of people who follow me and who are into like I'm this woke witch and I'm this fucking I'm this tarot card reader and
Prove
I'm blah 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 and blah blah blah.
Where'd you
and
study?
I'm like I can guarantee you the people who are reading these cards out there right now today, most of them have no idea the hermetic nature of these cards alone. They just don't know. And I don't even know, but I know enough to go, dude, stop bullshitting people. You know? Yeah. And here's the deal. It's not all of them. I'm going to have a woman who's going to come on. She's a person who's very well into tarot. If you guys want to join, you're totally welcome to. But she's going to come on the next podcast. And I really want to talk to her and be like, what's your experience with this? Like, what is this? Like, tell me about your background. And she's super cool. So I won't get into it too deep with her, but she's awesome. But like, aside from her and kind of what I know about her, because I think she does know a lot, there's so many people today who are like looking like people like, I have these tarot cards. I just splash on my hand. One falls out, and then I'm going to pull it out and go, oh, this is the card that tells your destiny. And I'm like, but that card is not even a tarot card. It's a card with an angel on it from like somebody drew in a book, in a coloring book. Like, it's not even the original tarot cards. The original tarot cards have actual symbology in them, meaning. Like there's stuff into them that I don't fully understand. Do I really believe a lot of it? Maybe, but at least there's hermetic stuff in that I know that came from a place of somebody really understanding that aspect of what I would call quote unquote spirituality. I take that back, not quote unquote, but just with spirituality in the sense, you know what I mean?
Right.
Does that make sense?
It makes sense. Yeah. But tarot for me, the way it was explained, it's more something that gets read to you and you're able to associate things that are going on in your life right now to the symbolism and the meanings behind them. And then you have the choice of whether to keep going down that road or making a change and going down a different road. So for it to tell you your future, no, it's not made for that. It's more for you to rectify your movement going to the future.
Thank God. See, I'm glad you explained it that way because I had never heard it that way. People tend to think, oh, it's going to tell me my future. It's going to tell me what I'm going to do with my husband sucks today, so tomorrow my husband's going to suck even more. Like, dude, the cards are not going to tell you that. Have you ever
heard of Alejandro Jodorowsky?
I haven't, no.
No? Then I highly recommend that you check out this movie called Holy Mountain.
Oh, you're going to go down that path? Yes, I have. I listened to the podcast you guys did with this. I watched a part of that movie. I was like, I got to be super high to watch this shit.
Bro, it's some deep stuff, man. It's really, really deep, and it goes hardcore into different parts of the tarot.
Yeah.
And
is that about tarot for real?
Yeah, it's the journey of the fool. Oh, he meets the alchemist.
That makes sense.
You know, and the alchemist teaches him about, changing yourself from excrement to gold.
I'm not super well versed.
That makes sense.
Brother here with the occult, but
this guy's super smart.
Learning, but it's still learning.
We're gonna have to do
super funny though.
We're gonna have to do more podcasts that are not Masonic tied at all.
Totally
that are just esoteric.
Yeah. But I tattoo, and girls are like, "Oh yeah, I want to get this Wiccan symbol."
Oh shit!
And then they start telling me, I'm like, "No, that's wrong." Like, they're like, "How do you know?" I'm like, "I'm a Freemason," and they're not putting the connection.
They're not putting two and two together.
So I just stopped talking to them. I'm like, "I'm just gonna put my headphones in, and I'm just gonna finish this tattoo real quick." But I'm like, "But you're carrying a symbol that carries power." Like, and a lot of people sometimes don't realize that. It's like what I do. My mentor explained to me is like, I work in blood, and it doesn't mean much to a lot of people, but like.
It's a rite of passage,
it's
man.
Sacred. It was like I'm spilling blood.
And you're
there's energy. Yeah, there's an energy transfer, whether it's positive or negative. Like people come in, you get, a memorial tattoo. I'm helping you grieve. You're getting your hood tattoo. You're getting power. Tattoos carry, and a lot of people don't recognize that, and because it's so, it's like flash of path. Like you see teachers now with tattoos. Baristas at your Starbucks. Everybody has a tattoo now, but it was something sacred. It's still sacred to me. It's still sacred to a lot of people, but it's like been watered down. That like it extends from something occult. Like it has. There's people always say, "Oh, my shop's haunted." I'm like, yeah, because you're dealing with transfer of energy all day long, and we spill blood on the floor.
If you really look at from the ancient side, the Picts of Scotland, they tattooed themselves stick and poke in blue ink. And that blue ink, it meant something to them. You had to earn that. It was a rite of passage, and it also meant your rank and what you knew. And I'm talking about crazy occult like magic.
That was
in regards to
crazy
the Celts.
magic back then. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think people think magic is like pulling a rabbit hair. I'm like, no, it's a transfer of energy. Like,
It's all energy. Yeah.
It's
That's why I say that what's crazy to me is that like there's all these. So I have a very small subset of data to work with on Instagram, right? So like I have all these followers and I ask them questions and I talk shit. I be cracking jokes about tarot cards and shit all the time and all these brujas and shit. I'm like, come on, you guys don't even know what the fuck you're talking about.
My chanclas are aligned.
Yes, my chanclas are aligned and they're in retrograde. They're in Mercury retrograde. You're not doing reverse cowgirl. Like, get out of here. It's not that serious, you know. Like, so. But what's funny to me is that like what I try to explain to people is like during times of trials and tribulations, like we're going through a really tough time right now. You know, the pandemic really scared people.
Yeah,
and most people go to that thing because Christianity's not doing for them, right? For whatever reason. So they go to that thing. And I'm not saying that Christianity is the thing. I'm just saying that a lot of people shifted to this and don't really know what they're doing. There's like, I have women and men, just to be safe, walking around their house on Instagram, like saging their house with their windows closed. I'm like, bitch, open the window. Let the spirit out. You're just scaring the spirit. He's in your ass now. You know, like they don't know what they're doing, but they just found something. It's like a lucky rabbit's foot from the 60s. Like, come on, man. Like, if you really want to get involved in this, for sure, do it. But do your research. And I'm not smart by any means. I know many people who are. I'm not that guy. But I also know that I'm not the guy to be like, oh, I'm gonna pull this card out of this fucking deck who falls on and go, this is what it means. It's gonna shape my life. No, I think there's a way to go about that.
There's process, man.
There's a process,
and there's tradition, and there's a reason why it's done that way because it works. Like if you're gonna sage your house, yes, you have to let it all out because you're expelling,
right?
But you also have to seal, and usually people seal with dragon's blood, and that's an incense that you can burn right afterwards. You seal it with that, and that's what helps you keep all the good in. And I learned that from a friend, Rhapsody, at Points of Light in Long Beach, and she's a witch. You know?
So we can have a podcast that's not tied to Masonry and talk about that kind of stuff later.
Should do it closer to Halloween.
Yeah.
Hey, let's do. You guys done do a Halloween podcast?
I'm down.
Yeah.
Because I do a Halloween party. We've done it before.
Oh.
I'll do a Halloween party here. We can do a Halloween podcast, and we can do that kind of stuff.
We should do a co-ed, everybody invited Halloween party to one of the lodges to try to get new recruits.
We can do that, and I can take the equipment there too.
Yeah.
We can do that too.
Have some DJing.
I'm down.
Get naked. I'm just kidding.
Scared of the normal people. Just have a goat.
Naked rituals. Hold on.
Hold on.
We're gonna do this.
Hey, dude.
We're just kidding.
In the middle of the party, just turn off all the lights and bring in the goat. And then turn the lights on.
That's where I leave.
No, I'm just saying we're in a weird time where like there's definitely a lot of people on Instagram who are making a lot of money acting as tarot card readers for people. I'm like,
there's a lot of, again, fake woke, bro. There's a lot of fake,
fake.
people who just picked up a tarot and said, you know what, I'm going to start reading. No, that's something that gets passed down, dude. You know, like that's not something you just learn out of nowhere, you know.
You don't just play with that kind of stuff. I don't think,
man.
You know?
My mom's a santera, dude. She learned from to lineage, dude. That's you know, that's not something that you just pick up.
Yeah, you don't play around with that. That's why I always make fun of shit. Like when women are like, I keep saying women because it is women. Most 99.999% of the time it's women who are like, oh, I read my tarot card today and I'm a cholo in fucking retrograde in Venus and Mars. I'm like, what does that mean?
What does that even mean?
The first question I asked them, what does retrograde mean? What does that mean? And I have yet to have one person tell me what retrograde means. They have no idea what it means.
What does it mean?
It means that the position of that planet is behind, I think it's the moon, when you look at it at that point in time. First of all, none of them have fucking telescopes. They have no idea where the fucking planet's at. You know what I mean? That's what it means. And now they're blaming their fucking mood swings and they're
just an asshole.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. My bad.
No, not you.
I'm an asshole too.
Yeah, I'm talking about these people who are blaming retrograde because of their fucked up attitudes. Yes. No, you're just an asshole.
And there might be something due to the positions of the planets and stuff that do affect, or whatever it may be. But what I'm saying is that everyone just believes what they're told online on Instagram because it's out there, you know.
It does affect our lives, but like
it does because it's science. Like our body's 75% water.
Yeah, I've heard that too. Yeah,
the moon affects the tides. It affects a person
for sure.
When you're born, it gets.
But
down
Jupiter
technical.
reverse cowgirl probably is.
Yeah, no,
probably not going to happen.
It's probably not going to happen. You know?
I do get a little more sassy during the fucking full moons.
Oh yeah.
That's about it. You know,
We do know that like during the full moons that happen, that like crimes go up and murders and rapes go up. We do know there's definitely something to it, 100%. But what I think scientists have attributed that to is that the fact that there's lights out. So like the moon's bright, so people are out more, and it's warmer, and people are out more. It's during the summertime when the moon is closest. So there's a lot of things that they contribute to. Now I'm not saying that there's not something to the other stuff we've been talking about.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that by any means, but the fact that like we have, if you go on Instagram today, any given day, there's like, oh, Mars is in retrograde with Jupiter and Jupiter is in reverse cowgirl. It's like, I never even heard of that before. Is this a new thing? Like, what the fuck?
ridiculous
like,
shit.
Yeah,
Dude.
like I'm sure there was like 5 events during the year where like, oh, this matters. You know what I mean? But now if you go online, swear to God, if you just go look up like either like astrological tarot events or whatever else, you'll see there's literally one for every day. And it's like, dude, come on, dude. Like that the fucking Mars just skipped over here, so now it's in a different phase. Like, stop it. Like, it's just weird. We're living in weird times.
I'm not gonna trust a tarot card reader that like I can't even before my first Starbucks. I'm like, dude, your mood's gonna change with Starbucks. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
you're that's not your tarot card. You're just dumb.
There is for sure.
Your sugar's low.
Yeah.
You're not turning your Mercury's on retrograde. You're just sugar's low.
There's for sure a connectedness that we have 100%. I just don't know if people here know how to. I'm sure people here do. Some people do know how to connect it. What I'm saying is that the average tarot card reader on Instagram probably doesn't know what the fuck that is. That's all I'm saying.
We had I forgot his name of the speaker. I'll message him, Diego. But he was talking about the life energies, frequencies, body vibe. Like, you know, when people are like, oh, that guy's giving me good vibes. I'm like, yeah, it's because it's an actual thing really happening. Like, your body resonates at a certain, you know, rate.
Right.
If that person's, their vibes are varying at a different, you know, location you're going to mix match. Either you're going to get along or you're not.
Right.
But there's a science to it.
For sure. Oh, there absolutely is, for sure.
And that all has
I'm
to
not,
do
I'm not
with
negating that.
Yeah,
I'm saying there's a lot of fakes out there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of charlatans out there.
Oh, definitely.
But
don't
speaking
know.
to somebody that you know about, you know, them reading, and you talk to them about that, they're like, "What are you even talking about?" I'm like, "Dude, what you're talking about, but the science behind what you're doing." They're like, "How do you know this?" I'm like, "I'm a Freemason. I know everything."
So wait, what you say is the Illuminati, bro?
It's Kentucky Fried Chicken. Bro. That guy was a Freemason. I know what we all know.
The guy from Kentucky Chicken was a Freemason too.
Yeah,
He was?
Colonel Sanders. We all know what's in the secret herbs and spices.
Yes.
Acacia root.
You guys are fools, man. Anything you guys want to close on? Because we're about to wrap it up. We got brothers who got to do something. Normally we have a longer podcast. It's okay though. We'll have these guys back on. We're gonna do. I think we should probably untie this Freemasonry and just do some esoteric conversations, ancient conversations about things that are out there.
Totally down for that.
I'm totally down for that. You
And
down?
I'm also pretty sure you're gonna get a bunch of questions about masonry. We can come back and just talk about masonry.
For sure.
Answer some
Yeah,
questions.
we can do both. Yeah.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for inviting
Nice
me.
meeting you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It was amazing.
That's
meeting
me and you, brother.
Thank you guys for
Bumblebee
coming. Are you
too.
kidding me, man? I got 3 brothers here. Two I met, one I never met before. So it's a delightful experience to be around brothers who I asked to come and just said I'll be there.
Yeah.
It's part of Freemasonry, right?
Yeah.
That was amazing. So
It's not affecting me or my family immediately. I'll be there.
yeah, that's awesome. Thank you guys very much for coming, joining. This was an awesome one. We'll have a lot more. I feel like we're gonna have a lot of good podcasts in the future.
Yeah.
And I do believe that because of this whole kind of spirituality kind of thing that's coming about, where people are like interested in it, it's a good time to kind of feed that a little bit if we can, you know. And I have a lot to learn. I'm not by any means any kind of expert, whatever. But the Mike over here knows a lot of shit, so we can get him on the mic and have.
Just check out keepersoftheword.net or follow us on Keepers of the Word. And right there's a lot of good information that our brothers share. And it's really good information that you can digest and, you know, do more research. Go down your own rabbit hole and do some of your own research and check it out.
Yeah, so Brother Mike, just so you guys know, he has a podcast. We've talked about it before. We'll talk about it again. Keepers of the Word. It's one of my favorite. If you're looking into like occultic, is that okay to say?
Yeah, we're more of a esoteric occult podcast. We do talk about these conversations in depth.
Right.
So yeah, check us out.
Dude, they have some great content. I'm by the way, I'm like fanboying over here that I have this guy sitting here in my studio. You know what I mean? It's kind of ridiculous. So thank you for joining.
Thank you, man.
I appreciate it. Brother Renee has a brand, Sanctum Secretum. He's an awesome brother. Known him for a while now. Give your shout out, man, to whatever you want, you know.
I just want to thank Javi for having us. Sexy torta whisperer.
Ooh, that voice though.
Yeah.
Now I'm turned on.
Yeah, just thanks for having us.
Hey,
Where can we find your shop at, man?
Which one? The tattoo shop?
Yeah.
Oh, I work at Lucid Tattoo in Camarillo.
Good shit.
You can check us out through Lucid Tattoo Co.
Before you're right here, we could have lunch anytime.
Anytime, bro.
I thought you were far away, bro.
Oh, dude, I moved. That's what I was telling you. I just moved from that shop to closer here.
Oh, okay, cool. I come hang out. I need some work done, so I'll come visit you.
Yeah, for sure. Or we can do a podcast while I'm tattooing your legs.
Hey, why don't we?
I'm totally down for that shit.
He wanted to do that so he could tattoo. You know, I'll get the short cups in the back of my other leg if you're down.
He wants a tramp stamp, dude.
That's what's up.
That's what's up.
I want above my. Never mind. I'm gonna keep that to
Hey,
myself.
let me give you a little Keisha wreath. That's a tramp stamp.
Brother Rod, any shout outs you want to do?
No, that's about it. Thank you for having me. You know, if you guys want keep following Javi, listen to the podcast. I have nothing to promote, but
He's lying.
support.
We're going to promote our lodge, Oxnard 341. We love that lodge. By the way, this is not affiliated by any means by the Grand Lodge or our lodge, but we love our lodge and want to put it out there. This is just brothers talking, having a conversation about things that are not, what would we call that? Not secretive.
Not secretive. Yeah.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for listening. We really appreciate you. I appreciate you guys for coming, man. We'll see you guys next time.